You have a few Greek Jews who are actors, playwrights, in music, in the media, in radio. Then there's some unusual stories. There was a woman named Gina Bachauer. She was born in 1913, died in 1976. She was from a Jewish family in Athens, was a classical pianist, and the wife of Alex Sherman, who toured extensively in the United States and Europe. She gave her first recital in Athens at the age of 8. Then her first concert with an orchestra was 1932 when she was 20. Before she had died in 1976, she gave hundreds of concerts, including 630 for the Allied troops in the Middle East in World War II. She was a close friend of Maurice Abravanel, a Salonican Jew who was the conductor of the Salt Lake City, Utah Symphony. And she often appeared with the Utah Symphony Orchestra. After she died, there was a Gina Bachauer International Piano Competition in her honor, and it attracts pianists from all over the world to Brigham Young University, the Mormon University in Provo, Utah. So today her house in Athens, in Chalandri, is still standing, and it's like a landmark, and it's sort of like an informal museum where people are shown that where this famous pianist lived. And in 1981, the Greek government honored the famous pianist by issuing a stamp in her honor. There's a record company owner named Minos Matzis. He also furthered Greek rebetiko music. He also developed and cultivated stars who were very popular in Israel, like Korea or Zamaras. And Minos Matzis was born in Preveza in 1913 to a Romaniot family, and he wrote lyrics and music to Rebetiko protest movement music from Asia Minor. His pseudonym was Samas, and he had some well-known tunes. And later in life, he was an executive of the Odeon Parlophone, a record company. And then during the German occupation, he was hiding in the house with the Rebetiko composer Yanis Papaioannou. And then in 1960, he founded his own record company, Minos Matzis and Sons. And his son, Makis Matzis, took it over. He died in 1970, and there was a film made about his Rebetiko activity. There was another unusual personality, was Pandelis Horn, Greek writer, born in Trieste in 1881, to an Austrian Jewish father, Dimitri Horn, and a Greek Orthodox mother, Martina Kondourioti, and the granddaughter of Lazarus Kondouriotis. He was in the Greek Naval Academy and a commissioned officer in 1899. During the First Balkan War, his unit liberated Imvros in 1912. He retired from the Navy in 1926. His passion was writing, and after retiring from the Navy, he became a journalist. He wrote many theatrical works and dramas and comedies. As in some of his poems, they have Jewish themes, and Horn's works were controversial as to their realistic language and their subject matter. Like, for example, he wrote about sexual impotence. He died in Athens in 1941. His son Dimitris Horn is a famous actor. A well-known woman who was Sephardic and a Rebetiko singer, who's like the symbol of the whole Rebetiko movement, musical movement, is Rosa Ashkenazi. So she was born in Istanbul, grew up in Salonika, and then moved to Athens as a young woman. She was a popular protest singer, very controversial. She married, I think, it was a Greek Orthodox poet, and first in 1910 she worked in an Armenian folk troupe in Piraeus, and then she performed in theaters and taverns. then mostly in the beginning she danced, but then shortly afterwards started singing in Greek, Turkish, and Armenian. Then at some point she dropped her first name Sarah and adopted the name Rosa or Rositza. So of course her family didn't approve, and she had a very loose sexual life and lifestyle. And of course, in those days, her parents didn't want her working in coffee houses or cabarets. And in 1915, she appeared to be a typical cabaret singer, but she made her first record in 1929 in the Rebetiko movement. In the 50s, she toured America, and many Greek Americans gave her notoriety. She returned to Athens. She lived in Peristeri, and with the revival of Rebetiko music in the 1970s, her legacy was brought to the forefront. She performed, she danced, she sang when she was like between 75 and 85. She was on TV. In a TV appearance in 1975, Rosa met with Charis Alexiou, a modern Greek diva who had some of Rosa's songs in her repertoire. Rosa sang Chariklaki and Dimitroula, although her voice, understandably, was much coarser than in her heyday. She died in 1980, and she in a small village named Stomiou, near Corinth. Another famous Rebetiko singer was Stella Chaskell. She was born in 1918 in Salonika, and during the occupation, with her family, they escaped in the Athens area. After she married Yaakov Yecheskel. After the liberation in 1946, she started recording Rebetiko songs. For example, Nichtuse Choris Fengari, The Night Fell Moonless, or Kapia Mana Astenazi, The Mother is Sighing, and they were censored during the Greek Civil War. She also sang some of songs of well-known Greek composers, Vasilis Tsitsanis and Apostolos Kaldaris. So she had many popular songs. I'll just read you the titles in English. So, Arabian Flower, A Mother is Sighing, My Jacket Got Old, Beaches and Dusks, For the Eyes I Love, Gul Bahar, in Turkish, Bir Allah, One God, and You Forget Little Kate. She died in 1954. She was barely 36 years old. Maria Razan was a movie personality, and she was a political anchor woman. She also was the assistant for Greek Prime Minister Andreas Yosef, who was actually forced to resign from the government because he supported political executions in 1952. And Maria Razan, she interviewed all the popular politicians she could get their support, and then she lured them into falling into embarrassment over controversial questions. She wrote an autobiography. During the Holocaust, she escaped in hiding. But she wasn't very connected to the Jewish community. But she was like a front row personality in Greek society. She also gave an interview in 1998 for the Spielberg Foundation, which is very interesting.